All right, everybody, welcome back. So, everyone's talking about AI, right? Like it's going to change the world and all that.
There's definitely a lot of buzz going around.
Yeah, exactly. But what does it actually mean for us, for people who work? What does the future of work actually look like? Today, we're doing a deep dive into some excerpts that try to answer that very question. What's it going to be like for us, the employees?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? Everyone wants to know.
By the end of this, you'll know how AI might change your job, the skills you'll need, even things like economic equality. I mean, it's a lot. We're also going to dig into what makes us humans so special, those skills that technology just can't replicate, no matter how hard it tries, the human touch.
Definitely some big things to consider. I think one of the most striking things is how quickly things are changing. Like, it's almost like we're stepping out of those old office scenes from the movies.
Right, like those wood-paneled offices with the Rolodexes.
Exactly. And we're stepping right into this futuristic world. One of the sources even uses this powerful image, contrasting a futuristic workplace with AI everywhere, alongside, those classic offices we're used to.
Wow, yeah, I can picture that. That kind of stark contrast really makes you think.
Yeah, it makes you think about what our workplaces might look like in just a few years. And I mean, it's not just about like robots in factories, right?
Yeah, you're right. It goes way beyond that.
AI is like weaving itself into pretty much every industry you can imagine.
I hadn't thought about it like that.
Well,
Weaving itself in, huh?
you could have a factory worker working, side by side with a robot to get things done faster, or a marketing team using AI to understand each customer better, personalize things. It's affecting both blue collar and white collar jobs, even those we thought, needed that human spark.
That's a great point. Yeah,
Yeah.
like those jobs we always thought were safe. So, okay, that brings us to the big, scary question that everyone's asking.
The one everyone's afraid to ask.
Exactly. Is AI, like, here to help us, or is it going to replace us entirely? Is it a tool, or is it, a threat?
It's totally understandable to feel that way. I mean, it's literally challenging how we think about work and what skills are even important anymore.
Yeah, no kidding.
But here's something to remember. The AI we have now, it's what we call narrow AI. It's super good at doing specific things, but it doesn't have that general intelligence, that ability to adapt that we humans have.
So it's not like, some super intelligence from the movies about to take over the world.
Not quite. No, the reality is like more complicated. It's more nuanced. And that's where the potential is, really.
I'm listening.
One of the sources put it really well. It talked about AI amplifying our potential.
Amplifying, I like that.
So imagine AI doing all the boring data stuff, all the crunching numbers, leaving you free to, actually think strategically or think about doctors. They could use AI to analyze medical images, and that would give them more time to actually talk to their patients, to be present with them.
Wow, that's amazing. So it's about using AI to free us up so we can focus on those things that we're good at, those human
Exactly.
things.
Working smarter, not harder, right?
Right. That sounds super promising. But, I mean, let's be real. There are downsides, too, right? I mean, job security is a big one.
You have to be realistic about the challenges. Some jobs will definitely change. Some might even disappear entirely.
So, like, what can people do? What skills will be, in high demand? What should people be learning?
That's the million-dollar question. It's about focusing on what makes us human.
Like what? Give me an
Things
example.
like empathy, critical thinking, the ability to solve complex problems, to adapt to new situations, to be flexible, and of course, creativity. These are the things that AI, at least for now, can't replicate, and those skills will become even more valuable in the future.
So we're not competing with machines. We're focusing on what makes us us.
Exactly, and it's about knowing the limits of AI. It can process information super fast, but it can't really understand emotions. It can't make those tough ethical decisions or come up with innovative solutions the way we do.
It's like AI is forcing us to become even more
I think
human.
that's a great way to put it. And that's where the real opportunity lies. We're shaping the future of work right now. We have the power to influence how it all unfolds.
So what does all of this mean for everyone listening? One of the sources we looked at ends with a call to action. It says employees will need to adapt, learn, and lead in new ways. What's the one thing you really want our listeners to take away from
The
this?
future isn't set in stone. We're writing it right now. The important thing is to approach AI with curiosity, not fear. Be willing to adapt, learn new things, and most importantly, figure out what skills will be in high demand in your field and invest in your own development.
So it's about being proactive, about understanding that the future of work, it's not just about AI, it's about humans and AI working together. The future is being written right now. And everyone listening, you have a role to play in shaping it. So be proactive, be curious, and don't be afraid to try new things, to step outside your comfort zone
Couldn't
a
have said it
little.
better myself.
Today, we're going to be like exploring the real impact AI is going to have on us employees, the good, the bad, and all that stuff in
And
between.
anxieties around AI are very real. The research we're looking at, tackles those anxieties head on.
Yeah. Like right off the bat, automation, it's a
Right.
biggie, right? This research predicts that almost 40% of current jobs they could be automated in the coming
That's
years.
a really significant number. And to kind of like grasp the scale of this shift, think about self-checkout kiosks. They're already replacing cashiers in so many places,
Yeah.
or AI-powered chatbots like handling customer service inquiries. These are just early signs of what's coming.
Yeah, and it's happening so fast, it's kind of mind-blowing. But the source, it makes this important point. Automation doesn't automatically equal mass unemployment, right? It's more about a shift, a fundamental shift in what jobs are going to be needed.
Exactly. Some jobs will, well, yeah, they'll probably become obsolete, but new jobs will emerge. Adaptability. We're going to need to be willing to learn new skills.
So for all of you listening right now, the source is saying, take a look at your job. What do you do every day? What tasks could be, automated? And think about this. What new opportunities might come up because of this
And this brings up
shift?
another big point, economic inequality. AI, it's got this huge power to create wealth. But will the benefits be shared equally? That's a big question.
It's like, are we heading for another industrial revolution? New winners and losers? Because this source, it highlights that gap between high-skilled workers and, well, low-skilled workers as a big, big
There's going to
concern.
be this huge demand for like specialized AI professionals. Think AI ethicists, algorithm bias auditors, and machine learning engineers. These roles are going to be in high demand.
Wow, those are some seriously futuristic job titles.
Yeah.
But what about the people whose jobs are like at risk? The source, it talks about solutions,
It
right?
does. It has some really interesting ideas, like a skills future fund where individuals could get these credits, right, to invest in personalized training program so they can learn the skills they need to thrive in this new, AI world.
That's pretty cool. Imagine getting to personalize your education, like tailoring it to the emerging
Yeah.
tech. Hold on, what about small businesses? Can they keep up with, all this AI
The
stuff?
source, it acknowledges that smaller businesses, they might struggle to adopt these like AI technologies as fast as the big corporations, which means they might be at a disadvantage. And that could even stifle innovation. So it emphasizes giving support, giving resources to small businesses so they can, also harness the power of AI.
Makes sense. Got to have a level playing field, right, to really get the innovation flowing. So the future of work, it's all about adapting, right? Reskilling and figuring out how to work with AI. And speaking of working with AI, this source, it paints this pretty exciting picture of how AI can actually free us from, those boring, repetitive tasks so we can focus on more creative, more fulfilling work.
Absolutely. The source, it envisions this workplace where AI is doing all the mundane stuff, and humans are free to tap into those skills that are uniquely human: critical thinking, emotional intelligence, those complex decisions that only humans can make.
Less time on spreadsheets, more time brainstorming, more time for those exciting projects collaborating
But
with your
this
team.
shift, it demands a commitment to lifelong learning. We need to adapt constantly and learn new things as technology advances.
Yeah, I feel that pressure to keep learning and keep growing. But honestly, it's also kind of exciting, right? To think about what AI can unlock if we use it the
It
right
is
way.
exciting, but there are potential downsides. The source highlights the possibility of bias, particularly in like AI-powered systems, especially in hiring and promotions.
Yeah, we got to be super careful about that, right? Making sure AI is being used ethically and responsibly,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to people's livelihoods. Those are some big
The
decisions.
research proposes implementing these frameworks, right? These robust frameworks for like auditing AI systems, to catch any bias and ensure that everything's fair and equitable for all employees.
Love that. Transparency and accountability. They're going to be crucial as AI, as AI becomes more and more part of our workplaces. But even with safeguards, some people are still going to be anxious, right, about
Hmm.
AI maybe
Yeah.
like eroding work-life balance and even like affecting our
That's
mental
a
health.
very real concern, and it's something we'll explore further in this deep dive. You know, this whole thing about the always on culture, like technology, it's always got us connected to work.
Oh, tell me about it. Like even when I'm trying to like chill out, my inbox is there calling to
Right. It's
me.
like you can never truly, switch off, and that leads to like burnout and stress.
Ugh, yeah. So is AI the bad guy here when it comes to work-life balance, I mean? Or can it actually help?
This research, it's got a really interesting take on this. It's like AI, it can make work-life balance better, but it can also make it worse. It's kind of crazy.
Okay, how
Well,
so?
on one hand, AI can automate stuff,
Yeah.
right? And streamline workflows, and that could like free up time so we could, pursue other interests or just actually disconnect from work.
Okay, yeah, I could get behind that. Imagine like an AI assistant to handle all the scheduling, emails, and just, all the boring stuff, giving me more time to like actually enjoy life.
Exactly. But then there's the flip side, the source, it talks about how AI powered communication, and
Yeah.
just being constantly connected, it makes it harder to set boundaries between work and life
Yeah.
because we're always reachable, always expected to be on.
Ugh. So it's like, it's catch-22. AI can give us freedom, but it can also trap us in this like constant work cycle. So what do we do? How do we use AI to make our work-life balance better without letting it, take over our lives
The
completely?
research, it says it's all about boundaries, setting clear boundaries and expectations about how we use technology. Well, like,
Okay.
well, companies could make policies,
Oh,
encourage
yeah.
people to like actually disconnect after work hours, or they could even use like AI powered tools to track work hours and make sure people are taking breaks.
Okay, I like that. Using AI to like protect our time, turning the tables on always on
Right. It's
culture.
about being intentional, being thoughtful about, how we let AI into our work lives. It's a tool, and like any tool, it can be used in good ways and bad ways.
So listeners, we're challenging you. Think about how you use technology. How can you use AI to like actually improve your work-life balance? What boundaries do you need to keep it from stressing you
Now, let's
out?
switch gears a bit. Let's talk about job security. Because if AI is making decisions about like promotions, performance reviews, even layoffs,
That's got to be a little
right?
unnerving. Like, how can we be sure those decisions are fair? How do we know the AI isn't, biased against
That's
certain
a
people?
totally valid concern. And the source, it talks about this a lot. It emphasizes transparency. Companies need to be clear about how they're using AI,
Hmm.
especially for, those big decision-making processes. Employees need to understand like how the algorithms work, and they should have a say in, how those algorithms are used.
Transparency is key. We
Yeah.
can't just like blindly trust these algorithms, to make decisions that affect our
Right.
careers.
And the source also talks about human oversight. AI is powerful, but it shouldn't replace human judgment completely. We've
Yeah.
got to make sure there are like checks and balances to prevent bias and make sure things are fair.
Yeah, that human element is so important. We have to be the ones to like make sure AI is used ethically and in a way that helps
The
everyone.
research, it talks about this need for monitoring, right? Ongoing monitoring of AI systems
Mm.
to catch any bias and fix it. It also suggests getting diverse perspectives involved in the development of AI, I mean. That way the systems, they reflect a wider range of viewpoints and experiences.
Makes total sense. More diverse input means like fairer AI, right? AI that works for everyone.
Yeah.
But even with all that, I think some people will still be uneasy, working alongside AI. It's like this fear that it's going to replace us.
Absolutely. Which is why the source talks about, those human skills, the skills
Mhm.
that'll always be valuable.
Okay, this is where things get really
Right. The
interesting.
source argues that even with like all this AI, certain skills will always be like uniquely human
Yeah.
and super valuable. We're talking empathy, creativity, critical thinking, ethical judgment, and complex problem solving.
Those are the things that make us human. And the source, it makes a really strong case for like really focusing on those skills
Yeah.
because those are the areas where AI, it just can't compete.
Exactly. So it's not about like outsmarting the machines, it's about being more human as AI gets more advanced.
I
The
love
source,
that.
it kind of it paints this picture of the future workplace as this collaborative ecosystem where AI is helping humans, not replacing them.
So AI handles the boring stuff, and humans get to focus on like innovation and creative problem solving and, building relationships. That's a pretty
It
amazing
is,
future.
but it's not going to like magically happen on its own.
Right.
Yeah.
So what can we do? How do we prepare for this, AI-powered world? How do we make sure we can
The
thrive in it?
source, it gives a lot of practical advice. It says continuous learning, upskilling, it's key. Yeah.
Lifelong learning.
And it's not just about technical skills either. It's those like soft skills,
Hmm.
communication, collaboration, adaptability and emotional intelligence. Those are going to be even more important as AI, takes over more of the technical stuff.
So we need to become like more human as AI becomes more advanced.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The source also encourages a growth mindset, being open to, new possibilities. The future of work, it's going to be full of surprises, and those who can adapt, those who are willing to learn new things, they're the ones who are going to thrive.
Wow. We covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. I mean,
Yeah.
AI and the future of work, it's a big topic, right? So many things to think
Yeah,
about.
for sure. A lot to unpack.
Definitely. So before we wrap up, let's go back to some of the like key takeaways from
That's
this
good.
research. Okay. So first, the challenges. AI could like disrupt industries,
Right.
possibly displace a lot of
Yeah,
workers, right?
that's a real possibility.
And those ethical questions,
Yes.
bias, fairness, transparency, plus that whole thing about AI blurring work-life boundaries, possibly leading to
Right.
burnout.
All important concerns. And the source, it doesn't shy away from those. It acknowledges the potential downsides.
Definitely. But it offers some hope, right? It's not all doom and gloom. It reminds us that, the future of work, it's not just about AI taking over. It's about humans and AI working together.
Absolutely. AI amplifying human capabilities, not replacing them.
Okay, I like that. Humans and AI, like on the same team, working towards something better. But how do we actually make
Well,
that
the
happen?
source, it really stresses investing in our human skills, things like empathy and creativity, critical thinking, ethical decision making. Those are the skills that are going to set us apart in an AI-driven world.
Right. It's about like focusing on what makes us
Right.
human, what AI can't do.
Exactly. And that whole lifelong learning thing, it's not optional anymore. It's like essential. We got to constantly adapt and learn new skills.
Yeah, no more set it and forget it with our
Right.
careers. We got to be agile and
The
curious.
source also talks about, having these open conversations about AI and ethics. We got to ask those tough questions, demand transparency,
Yeah.
and really advocate for responsible AI.
Absolutely. We can't be passive about this, right?
Yeah.
AI is shaping our future, but we have to be a part of that process. We have to make sure the future is like both innovative and
The
fair.
future's being written right now, and we all have a role to play.
So to everyone listening,
Mm.
be curious, be courageous. Don't be afraid of the future of work. Embrace the possibilities and keep learning. Never stop learning. The future is in our hands. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.